Well, hey, welcome back. Today we're talking about another hot tip for raising capital. This is hot tip number 2, and that is what you say and how you say it. So what do I mean by this? I mean, when you're out and about and you're meeting people, you're networking, you're mixing and mingling, and people ask you that question. Hey, Dave, what do you do? What is the answer that comes out of your mouth? What is it that you're going to do to create curiosity and get the conversation going and hopefully turn it around to what you're up to with real estate investing? Well, in today's video, that's what we're going to take a look at. We're going to take a look at the infamous elevator pitch or 30-second commercial. We're going to look at the absolute best one I've ever heard in my entire life and how you can create something similar. Stay tuned. All right, when it comes to raising capital, networking, mixing and mingling, meeting people, getting to know people, that's a big part of it. Now, I always recommend start with your warm sphere first, and eventually you're going to be out there getting out and about and meeting new people. And we want to create some curiosity. We want to get the conversation going and see if they're interested, if there's any spark of curiosity about what we're up to with real estate investing. So I don't know about you, but back in the day with sales training and marketing training and networking training and MLM training, we're all taught, hey, you know what? In order to grab people's attention, you really need to have an elevator pitch or a 30-second commercial, something that you can pull out and answer that question with right off the get-go. Because the big challenge with a lot of people is when you have that kind of awkward moment when you're meeting somebody, you're doing that chit-chat, that small talk, inevitably it's going to turn around to, well, what do you do? And most of us suck at answering that question. Most of us say something like, well, you know what? By day, I'm a plumber. I've been doing that for 27 years. Boring. And on the side, I do some real estate investing. Boring. Okay. So it doesn't create any curiosity for most people. All right. And then the other person answers and you may or may not connect. And it's just kind of a blah experience. So what we were taught to do in the past was to create this elevator pitch, this 30-second commercial. And I remember when I learned this, I thought, well, I'm kind of introverted. I'm not super comfortable with doing that, but I had the same experience as everybody else, not having a good answer to what do you do. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. So I learned about the elevator pitch process. And at that time I was doing rent-to-own deals. So I really worked on mine, memorized it, came up with what I thought was a pretty good one. Let me see if I can remember it. It's been a long time since I was doing those kind of deals. But I think, yeah, if somebody asked me, what do I do? I'd say, hey, thanks for asking. Well, I help deserving local families who can't quite qualify for a mortgage right now get into the home of their dreams years earlier than they could on their own, while at the same time getting my investor partners and myself an above average return on our money. And how about you? What do you do? Okay, so that was my 30-second commercial. And the idea was to kind of encapsulate what I do in a short statement, try to create some curiosity, try and get the conversation going and pique that interest. Well, the challenge was after I did that commercial a few times, I realized that it sounded like a ShamWow commercial. It just sounded fake. Nobody talks that way. So I tried that a few times and basically got some weird looks from people. It definitely did not draw anybody closer. It definitely did not get me any investors on board. So pretty quickly I kind of fizzled out and quit doing that and went back to the normal boring way. But fortunately, I learned a much better way. Now, the better way I learned was from a fellow real estate entrepreneur named Julie Broad. Julie's no longer doing real estate investing right now, but she was a great real estate investor and trainer for many years. And she kind of had the same challenge. She'd learned about doing the 30-second commercials. She taught a lot of people about doing that. She had hers, and it just felt weird. And then one time, I think she was getting ready for a 5K race or something, and she was at the starting line, and she started a conversation with another runner, and they said, well, hey, Julie, what do you do? And then inspiration hit. And she got sick and tired of doing the 30-second commercial, and she just thought, okay, her answer this time was, when the person said, Julie, what do you do? She said, I collect houses, period. The other person was like, what do you mean you collect houses? You collect porcelain houses that you put up on your wall? Or what does that even mean, you collect houses? And guess what? That's when the light bulb moment went off for Julie, because that worked. Her 30-second commercial got condensed down into about a 1.5-second little statement that created curiosity, got the other person to lean in and want to find out more about what she was doing. She started doing that, and she rocked it with that. Anytime she met somebody new, especially outside of real estate investing circles, and she'd use that answer when they asked the question, pow, a conversation got started. And she ended up bringing on a lot of new investors and raising a lot of capital with her new elevator pitch. All right. So what are my recommendations for you? Number one, don't just go steal Julie's and use it like your own. Figure out your own version of that. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. If you're into self-storage facilities, you're going to have a different one. If you're into doing flips, it's going to be a different one. If you're into doing multifamily, it's going to be different. Come up with your own twist on it. But here's what you want to brainstorm. Here's what you want to focus on. What is something that you can say when somebody asks you what you do that grabs their attention and creates curiosity very, very quickly? And here's the thing. I don't know what the answer is for you, but the way you can find out is to try 3 or 4. Brainstorm it. Just come up with a few different ideas and then try them out. Try one idea out with the next 3 or 4 people that you meet who ask you what you do. See how the reaction is. See if it creates curiosity and it gets the other person to kind of lean in and ask you more questions. If it doesn't, hey, no problem. Try the next one. Keep doing that for a few more iterations. If that doesn't work too well, try the third one. By the time you do 2 or 3 of these, you will find one that really feels good for you, resonates with the other person, and most importantly, gets that conversation going. All right? So hopefully this has been a valuable tip for you. So again, when you're meeting somebody, you want to have something really high impact to say when they ask you what you do. And if you like this idea, you're looking for more of them, well, I've just written a new ebook. It's called Be Seen to Get the Green. It's different ways that you can raise your profile and help raise a lot more capital. You can get a free copy. Just scroll down in the description. The link will be below. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say about these tips and ideas. And speaking about tips and ideas, if you want to raise your profile, a perfect way to do that is to be a guest on a podcast. And guess what? I got you covered there too. I've got a podcast, Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. I'd love to have you on as my guest. I'm interviewing what I call everyday people investing in real estate. I just love those conversations. Plus, it's just so relatable for our listeners. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can check it out and you can book your time at daveinterviewsyou.com. All right, take care. Talk to you on the next episode.